Welcome to this episode of Kennedy Saves the World. We're back with Big Jim Failla for the weekend roundup to find out what's happening in the week ahead. Jimmy has gone underground. There are times where you haven't seen him for at least 20 minutes, a stretch, because he has been investigating the fake moon landing. He's been interviewing experts, crackpots, astronauts, famed television icons, and William Shatner. And Jimmy Failla rejoins us here on Kennedy Saves the World.
Boom. It is, yes, happy moon landing Monday.
Tell me about the moon landing special you have done, Jim.
Oh,
You've gone down a series of rabbit holes, and I worried you were going to catch rabies.
Well, I don't know if it would be offset by the original batch, like, because I have the original recipe from my cab driving days. I don't have rabies, but I definitely probably have breathed in things. That's why I didn't get COVID. You know that?
Interesting.
Yeah.
Yes.
When I showed up to actually get the vaccine, remember we had a mandate, and I showed up to get it, and they saw my taxi license, and they were just like, "You're good, dude. Just get out there. Just actually."
What you have is far worse.
It's like a chicken pox party. They're like, "Can you kiss me on the mouth and then leave this drugstore?" And I was like, "All right, fine, here we are."
You're like Hannity, please.
Isn't that like a Me Too thing, CVS? Can I Me Too you? I don't know. I don't work with you, CVS, but here we are. So the moon landing fact or fiction, K-Train, it's out today on Fox Nation.
This is exciting. I mean, this is something that you have been working on for months and months. You've been doing research. You have been presented with all sides of the moon landing argument. And it's not just about the moon landing. There are people who believe that the moon landing was fake.
Dude, there are people that believe the moon is fake. Like, it goes so much deeper than I really thought it did. But one of the fabulous people featured in this documentary is on a CIA kill list.
According
to him.
Okay.
I know.
All right.
Well, that's what I said to him. I don't
know if the CIA still publishes the
Yeah,
kill
that's
list
what I
like
said. I go, how do you find out? Do you get like a save the date?
Yeah.
Do you get like a certain check mark on Twitter? Like kill it, verified kill list. Because at one point I did ask him too. The man's name is Bart Sibrel.
Oh, great. Now everyone knows.
He knows. No, it's fine. He's on record on the doc, and he's been invited onto my radio show to further discuss this. But the basic moon landing denier take is there was a guy who worked at Rocketdyne Laboratories in the 70s on Saturn V rockets. His name was Bill Casing. He wrote a book in 76 called We Never Went to the Moon Inside the $30 Billion Hoax.
This sounds like a 1970s version of professional revenge porn.
Yeah, maybe, in a weird way.
Yeah.
And we'll get into revenge porn because I had to develop. I'm kidding. I had a notice from my lawyer that, whoa, you want to talk about a documentary?
Big
anyway,
weekend.
Stick with me. Yeah, Debbie does lawsuits. This one's not ending good for your buddy Jimmy Failla. So anyway, Casing wrote a book, and what he posited was that we had the incremental growth needed to get to the moon. But we didn't risk doing it on live TV for fear that we would blow up the landing module in front of 650 million people. Ergo, we filmed it in an Air Force base somewhere in California.
But still went to the moon.
Yeah. We hung out in orbit for 8 days. We just didn't land.
Oh.
So
he's saying we didn't land. I believe we landed. And I think there's significant evidence that we landed.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't be surprised. Like Whitney Houston's Super Bowl Star Spangled Banner, the greatest performance of all time. But she pre-recorded it live
on the moon.
On the moon, exactly, in the lunar module. But they wanted to make sure that the performance was perfect. She lip-synced her own performance that she had recorded live a little bit earlier. But technically, it wasn't live.
Yeah, it was. So
maybe it was the same kind of thing. Like maybe they pre-recorded it. But we actually went. He actually
lip sank One Small Step for Man. If you listen
Neil
close,
Armstrong went and popped him in the mouth.
Shame on you. Oh, yeah. So Bart Sibrel is the guy Buzz Aldrin punched. Do you remember that?
Yeah.
And that's, again, as someone who pays to get beat up on Craigslist, you're kind of envious of the guy. But Bart, and there's this whole subset of movement, a movement of people who read this Bill Casing book that said we didn't go.
So is that like the vaccines cause autism? That one guy wrote one paper, and now a bunch of loons hang their hat on that, even though it has been disproved so many times in so many ways.
Next thing you know, you're hanging out with Jenny McCarthy at NASA. That's not a real rocket launch. Come on, SpaceX. Come on. So first of all, I love the story of the moon landing because it really is the ultimate American muscle car. You know what I'm saying? Like, we just got together with whatever space nerds we had and whatever guys under 5'5" that were willing to jump into that rocket. But what you realize in like retracing the lineage of the space race is that the real heroes are actually the space monkeys. Because they didn't know what they were signing up for. Like, the astronauts at least knew they were going.
Yeah.
They were going to get a ticker tape parade.
If it didn't work out, they would be heroes.
Yeah, and they'd be heroes forever.
Their names would live beyond eternity.
Yeah, the monkeys were just like, what's in there?
Yeah.
Oh, I like bananas. Yeah, I think I'll go in there. And the next thing you know, they were flying to the moon,
Yes.
you know? Curious George kind of got the wrong end of that deal. You know, the man with the big yellow hat didn't really tip him off. And I love the story. I love the story of us going. I love the story of us winning the space race. But in going down the hole of making this doc, I really did become fascinated with like the contrarian people who say we didn't go, because I think that's just a certain type of person. You know how like when a Hollywood actor gets so famous so quickly, half the guys would be like, yeah, whatever, he's gay, because they just can't deal with that like superiority
you can't,
thing.
Like Tom Brady can't be that handsome and talented. There has to be
a
something
straight
wrong
off
with
or something
him.
that makes the guys feel like less demeaned by comparison. It's like when a comic's big enough, somebody will be like, I never found him funny.
Yeah.
I'm like, all right, well, he's worth $1 billion.
Yeah.
Like somebody
or he
clearly
steals
enjoyed
all the jokes that he performs on stage.
Now, those guys are out there, don't get me wrong. But the point is, if someone is like, say, as famous as like a Dave Chappelle or, you know, a Seinfeld, believe me, they're getting laughs, you know. But there's always that contrarian streak. And that's what I came back to. I think the moon landing people are just contrarians. That's what I think.
No, I get it. I mean, I'm a libertarian. I've never been to a libertarian conference where 75 people didn't go, actually, and try and correct the record no matter how annoying or wrong they are.
And is that the moon landing in the end? Was it are the moon landing people the original libertarians?
Yeah.
Is that what they are?
Like, well, the government's just stupid and they screw everything up. So if the government did something right, it must be fake.
Well, can I tell you who makes the best? It's so funny that you say that. The guy who made the best case for us faking the moon landing, this was not his intent, but Ohio Congressman Jim Jordan, who is from District 4, home district of my wife, Jenny Failla.
That's absolutely right.
Jim Jordan's district includes the hometown, for everyone listening, of Neil Armstrong, Wapakoneta, Ohio.
Yep.
That's where Neil is. That's where they went and plucked a small town All-American. This is a guy that'll keep his mouth shut about the true story.
Yeah.
And a good job scouting by them. But seriously, Jim Jordan basically said, you know, people want to believe we faked the moon landing. He's like, but come on. He's like, look at the government. He's like, they can't get anything right. You know, the vaccine, you know, they can't do anything. They were wrong about the Iraq war. They're wrong about everything. And I'm like, yeah, that's why nobody believes. You know what I mean? That's why nobody believes it.
This would all have to go so right for an incompetent federal government. How could they possibly pull this off? But you're right. Like, we don't know what it's like to be in a space race, a race for technology with another great superpower, and China doesn't want any part of it. They just steal everything we have.
Yeah,
They're not even bothering with racing anything. They just sit back, pilfer, you know, rejigger it a little bit and call it their own.
Yeah.
That's all they do.
It's like China's that person on the subway when two people get in a fight. There's a third person who immediately starts videotaping it, like, I'm going to get some clicks. China's the fourth person who takes their stuff while they're fighting. So it's like
they're all distracted, and China's like, oh, wow.
I think I'll just take this stuff.
Is that Louis Vuitton?
But we had to spend that $30 billion to get there. You're right, in the heat of the space race, because there's no world where we were going to get the Russians have Tang before we did. We needed that
Or
Tang.
Tempur-Pedic mattresses.
Tempur-Pedic
or
mattresses.
flying monkeys.
Flying monkeys. Non-consensual astronauts. There's got to be some kind of law against it. You know what I mean?
But also, you know, as a libertarian, when you look back on the song Whitey on the Moon, it really, it's justified.
It's
that song, like the outrage in that song is justified. Like the federal government is spending this much money. We still have a poverty problem in this country.
The late, great Gil Scott-Heron, a rat done bit his sister Nell, and Whitey's on the moon.
Whitey's on the moon.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And if Whitey's not looking for rat traps, what's he doing there? That was essentially the takeaway, and it rubbed a lot of people the wrong way.
Yeah. But
so,
you can't argue with that.
Nope. So what happened was the moon's just a big old rock. So nobody bothered to go, and that's the one thing I think that gives a lot of contrarian and conspiracy people, you know, a little bit of traction, is they're like, well, if going to the moon is so important, why did no one else go? Obviously, the takeaway is always, well, somebody, you know, we beat them too. We won the race. But the truth is, like, somebody beat me to Julia Roberts, but if she calls tonight, Yeah, I don't know that I'm letting it go straight to voicemail. You know what I mean? I may let it ring a few times just to let her get nervous. Yeah. But I'm probably picking up. I mean, between you and me, I'm probably picking it up. And that's where I don't quite see, because it has become cheaper. It has become easier. Mm-hmm. But I think us going, when you talk about American exceptionalism, the fact that we were able to go also speaks to just how exceptional we were economically, that we had the money to go do this.
The extra money.
Yeah, because that's why it was like disposable income, you know?
I wonder what that $30 billion is in today's dollars. What surprised you most about what you found?
About the moon landing?
Yeah.
I would probably say the fact that we don't get taught as much about how far ahead of us Russia was in the space race. What I mean by that is you hear about Sputnik, you hear about the cosmonaut, the dog, who, by the way, the dog didn't make it back, like Laika.
Yeah.
That was a one-way ticket. It was great. So these are the two things I learned.
So Russia hates dogs, is what you're saying.
Very anti-dog. Well, the head Russian rocket scientist, Michael Vick, he had some interesting observations. He ran a hell of a spread offense. They never lost a space agency football game. No one talks about that race. They only talk about the space race because we don't want to bring up what happened on the football field. But no, they had landed. I didn't know how many times they had landed unmanned vessels on the moon. They landed in 59 on the moon, unmanned vessel. They landed in 66 on the moon on the day we landed on the moon. They landed an unmanned vessel 500 miles away on the moon.
Just to mess with us.
But I didn't know that. Like, I thought, they were ahead. And then we got
naval exercise off the coast of Alaska.
Yes.
Real jerk move.
Come on, guys.
Yeah.
So there was that. I thought that was like really fascinating because I feel like that's kind of like sort of withheld from history. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? And I learned through a really funny experience. I believe Michael Collins, the third astronaut, we had a really funny interaction with an editor who there was a line in the narration. You'll appreciate this, where the producer had written in a line, it was like, and then NASA decided that Neil Armstrong, Buzz Aldrin, and some guy nobody's ever heard of were going to go to the moon. And one of the editors was like, you shouldn't say that because that third astronaut is recently deceased. You don't want to upset his family. And goes, and by the way, everybody knows who Alan Shepard is. And I was like, dude, you didn't even know who it was. Can the line stay? And the line did not stay. Yeah. But these are the joys.
But there are many other great lines, and I hear there were some surprise guest appearances.
There is. If you're looking to ride the K train on Fox Nation tonight.
And who isn't?
Hey, girl. Judging by the OnlyFans receipts, some people. I mean, it's not it's a landslide election, yes, but it's not unanimous. Okay, this is not like a North Korean election. Let's just say there's been some dissent over the years. But the point is, you are in it fabulously. We're in a bar where we discuss the moon landing. We get into a lot of pop culture stuff. Mike Vecchione, very funny.
Very funny.
DC Benny, who was just kind of watching the whole thing. He was great. We had a great time. And then you'll see William Shatner.
William Shatner, Jim.
Who says he gives a very controversial take on what the true motivation for going was.
Interesting. He also had that controversial take that California should just start taking water from the Pacific Northwest.
Yeah.
And that would solve the drought. And the governor of Washington was like, bro, we're in a drought as well. We don't have any extra water. Stop it right now.
Listen, man, he's seen some things. Yes. All right, the Shatman.
I'm not mad at him.
So he's there. You'll see Jim Jordan, a couple of nasty letters I got from astronauts who didn't want to be a part of the doc.
Oh, that's great.
Yep. You'll see endless footage.
A lot of how dare you?
Yeah, you'll see. There's a lot of that. A lot of officers who give
Are there good moon landing jokes?
There's good Space Shuttle Challenger jokes.
I know that.
We're both still employed at the moment, and I'd like to keep it that way. I'm here to promote a documentary, not your OnlyFans account.
I wish you would. The side hustle is very, very important to the financial longevity of my family.
Oh, I love this so much. So go watch Moon Landing Fact or Fiction.
And how do you get a subscription to Fox Nation?
Ooh. I think you go to Fox Nation.
That's absolutely right.
And you go, I want to subscribe.
Yeah.
And
then
Fox
you sign
Nation
up.
And subscription. And now you're subscribed. You're just like, as a thing. What you could do, go to my Twitter feed at Jimmy Failla, Failla.
Yeah.
And there is a promo right in there right now that you could click on, watch the trailer.
I'm going to watch it. I'm going to retweet it.
Well, yeah.
I'm going to party with it.
Well, you just doubled my ratings. So congratulations. Dinner's on me tonight, girlfriend. I mean, come on.
And last night, by the way, cheers to a fantastic barbecue yesterday.
We had a great night last night in my backyard. Yeah. Everyone should know that, by the way.
They should.
We throw as good of a get-together as there is. I don't know that the guys who orbited in that capsule for 8 days had the camaraderie that we do when we
Not
get
a
in my
chance.
backyard.
Absolutely not a chance.
But not everybody appreciates the camaraderie, according to
and
the
our
8th
14-year-old
precinct.
children in animal masks across the street taunting other teenagers for the win.
Yeah, our children were walking up and down the street in I want to call them Halloween masks, but he wasn't any of those characters for Halloween ever in his life. So now I need to know why those masks exist.
Yep.
That's my new Fox.
One was a mandrill and one was a mouse.
Yes.
And they were perfect. And they were waving at cars and really just harassing perhaps another teenager in the family.
So if anyone's wondering why neither of us have custody anymore, there's the short version of the story.
Oh, overlords, thank you for not imprisoning us now and forever. Jimmy Failla, moon landing, what's it called again?
Moon landing, fact or fiction?
All the facts tonight on Fox Nation. This has been Kennedy Saves the World along with Jimmy Failla. I'm Kennedy.